this recognition program in our anti-doping program. First off, my name is Jeff Nowitzki. This is Donna Marcolini. We work with the anti-doping compliance team here at the UFC. And a few years back, we started a recognition program honoring athletes like Anthony Smith that have achieved testing milestones with a perfect test history. Anthony happens to recently achieved 50 perfect tests. Really, Anthony epitomizes our recipients of this program. They all have things in common. Those things are, A, they have staying power. They've been around for a while to get to 50 tests. Anthony's going on his 9th year in the UFC. Number 2, they've been successful. Any good testing program, when you distribute your testing numbers, you distribute them to your most successful athletes. So most of these athletes have been in the top 10, top 5, and championship level fighters. And then lastly, they're all dogs. They all grind, because in this program, you don't have the shortcuts that you can go to. You can't use things that'll help you recover or help you get stronger. It's really, truly a lot of hard work, a ton of hard work. To compound that, these guys are responsible for where they are every day of the year, 365 days. And when you have somebody like Anthony that is not only a busy fighter training, but he also does commentary. So every time he travels somewhere, he's responsible for letting us know where he's at so he can be tested. And he's done this perfectly throughout his 9 years. So we hope, as part of the story you tell of Anthony this week and his fighting and taking this last-minute fight, a part of that story also is that he's a clean athlete and has done all these right things, and that's what this program's all about. So congratulations, Anthony. We're really proud of you. And here's your 50-time jacket.
It's a pretty cool jacket.
I was just saying, obviously we've got a fight to talk about, but I mean, just the moment, getting a jacket, getting the award for this, the presentation, what does that mean for you?
Dude, this means a lot to me. You guys know I've always been, the anti-PD guy and really holding people accountable and holding their feet to the fire. It's guys like me wouldn't survive without this program. I'm not the most gifted athlete. I never have been the most gifted athlete. And I've just always been committed. It's not like there wasn't opportunities early on in my career, just like a lot of people in my era. That could have all been very different. But without Jeff and Donna keeping it clean, like guys like me aren't going to make it. Like we're already a little bit behind, and we make up for it by being dogs and having a better work ethic and being able to go through the fire a little more than other people. But if people are getting a head start on us, the guys like me aren't going to make it. So, and like Jeff said, it is tough to be kind of tracked 365 days a year. A lot of times I feel bad. I am in Donna's text messages constantly, like, oh my God, I'm at the airport, I'm about to fuck this up. Like, I need you to help me change my whereabouts. Like before I actually leave. In the testers, or even when USADA was around, like my kids, as my kids are growing, they're seeing these people all the time. Like, oh, Dennis is here. Like, they just at some point become part of the regular routine. They're just used to seeing it. So. This is a pretty cool thing for me. It really is.
That's awesome, man. Well said. All right, let's talk about the fight, right? Obviously, no more short notice fights for you. You really got to manage the decisions at the end of the career. I guess, talk to me about, at the end of the day, you're just a fighter and that's what you do?
Yeah, listen, I told you guys before, I'm kind of trying to keep everything, like all these fights in a box. And I just make the decision based on that. It's kind of my new mindset. It's kind of this new thing that I'm going through. And I'm just not concerning myself so much with the title or where I'm at in the division or who's next. And none of that matters. I just take whatever the offer is and I put it in a box and I make the right decision based on that and not where it would get me if I win. So when I was training with Jamal, I'd already been helping him get ready for Olberg. I'd already had Olberg on my mind for 4 or 5 weeks, trying to help Jamal get ready for him. Excuse me. And then Jamal was in Omaha when kind of this whole mess kind of started. And, I had already been talking to Hunter and let Hunter know, like, look, I'm in shape. I'm ready to fight. Should you need me, this is before Jamal was hurt, like, if there's any main event situations that pop up, like anywhere I would be, like you would need my help, like I'm in shape and I'm ready to go. And then Jamal got hurt. And I was like, well, I fucking think I know where this is going. Like, that wasn't exactly the plan, but it is what it is. But I like the Ulbrich fight. I like his style. I like his game. He was streaking. He's hot right now. It's a tough fight, but I felt familiar with him, so I was willing to step in and do that. And then this whole mess of that all happens, and it is what it is.
Well, I was gonna say, then when it changes again, do you go, oh, well, hold on, I don't know if I was ready for that.
No, not really. I mean, it's a different fight. So, I mean, I'm not a guy that really likes change that much. So, like, there was that initial, like, motherfucker, like, God damn it. Like, I was pretty comfortable with at that point with the Ulbrich fight. But it's hard to not want to fight a guy like Dolidze. And I mean that with the utmost respect. Like, he's an absolute dog. He brings the fight. You don't have to convince him to fight. He's got a great skill set. I think his style really, I don't know, it mends well with mine, like it meshes well with mine, where I think we're going to have a goddamn barn burner. Like, he's not going to take a backward step, and neither am I. I like guys like that. I got a lot of respect for guys like that. So that part's exciting, and it's a little bit, it gives you a little bit of nerves, where you're like, I like that feeling. It's why I still do this. So, like, he makes me a little bit nervous, and I like it.
Dig it. The weight class, do you think it has any impact? I think he said he probably deserves to be a light heavyweight anyway, or needs to be. I don't know. What do you think?
He's a big dude. I mean, he's not a small middleweight. He's not the smallest light heavyweight. I'll tell you that. As far as impact goes, I think that him moving up says a lot about my division. So if you guys want to do your jobs, go ask every available light heavyweight why there's a middleweight fighting this fight. They're going to make up a bunch of shit, but I think you guys can read between the lines. Every single one of them said no. So, I'm the veteran, I'm the gatekeeper, like whatever those guys say. Well, why does Anthony get paid so much? And why does he get this opportunity? And why does he do this? Because I'm willing to do this shit that you guys won't do. Me fighting a middleweight on Saturday proves that to everybody. So I think all those guys just got exposed.
Strong words. Should be a great fight, like you said.
100%. And serious shout out to Roman Dolidze. It takes a lot of balls. Dude flew back to the States to step in there, a weight class up against a ranked opponent. That's a big deal. I think he should get a lot of credit for that.
I love it. Last thing for me, as you said, you're kind of everything in a box, not worried about where it projects you, et cetera. But just like schedule, frequency. I mean, after this, do you need time off, or is it like, hey, if another offer comes up, let me know. What's the plan?
Yeah, I'm afraid to say that because every time I say that, I fight. Like, I don't know why it works out like that. But yeah, I mean, there's some boxes at this point in my career that I want to check. There's a couple of arenas I'd like to fight in. I've never fought MSG before. I think it'd be a shame if I ended my career without fighting MSG. I just don't want to look too far ahead, so it feels uncomfortable to say, well, if this November doesn't work, I'll catch the next one. Like, I'll be working on 37 on the next one. So if I can squeeze in November or something like that, I think that'd be cool, just like a bucket list thing.
Anthony, right here. When Roman was in here earlier, he said that he was quite familiar with you because John Jones brought him into his camp for your title fight because,
oh, that's cool.
Quote, he said John was very concerned about your jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, what do you just make of that, kind of the connection here? Does that...
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that. That's crazy. That's kind of cool. Yeah, he's got an incredible jiu-jitsu game. We've rolled a couple rounds together. He's a tough dude. He's a good dude. He's very, very good at jiu-jitsu. So I have a little bit of familiarity with him. I've obviously worked the desk, several times with him on the card. And honestly, I mean, you guys can go back and look at some of those shows. Like, I really raved about his game and his jiu-jitsu, and honestly, how frustrating it was at times to see him go into these fights and not do a whole lot of jiu-jitsu. So that's a really cool that's a fun fact. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, we know the title fight is the main event on this card. You're not looking past this, but if you win, do you use that mic time, especially for something looking towards that main event?
Yeah. I mean, probably, but I said that in the last fight too. But I think I need to delegate maybe to Lloyd or Scotty or Mark, like, to remind me, because I am living in the moment right now. Like, I'm doing a really good job of just staying in the moment and being where my feet are. So, like, I fought in Brazil and, like, I didn't even, Alex Pereira's, like, making fun of me in the crowd, and like, I didn't even realize it, like, because I'm just, like, I'm living, like, where I am, and I was just ready to go hit the beach. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Got to get through Roman Dolidze first, though.
Anthony, over here. Just a few minutes ago, you said like fellow fighters were like kind of calling you a gatekeeper and talking about your pay. Do people actually bring up like your pay, like you said, like why is Anthony getting?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
like fellow fighters.
Yeah,
do
we
that?
hear that shit in the back all the time.
Like fellow fighters saying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's weird, right? Yeah, it's very weird. Like, what if you guys were out there arguing about who makes more money? That'd be fucking weird, right? Yeah.
Your coach on, I think it was on Embedded or Countdown, whatever, said like taking this fight on short notice, you kind of immediately get into prep day. You don't really have time to like focus on like this obviously a long camp. So do you? I know you said you don't normally want to take all these short notice ones now, but Roman was in here and he said that he likes this because he doesn't have to do all the media, he doesn't have to do all the interviews, he doesn't have to do all the prep, both mentally like that. Is this best case scenario for you two? Just get right into the fight.
No, none of that stuff really changes for me, whether it's short notice or I have more notice. It's all kind of the same for me. Like my media schedule is about the same as it typically is, and I don't really do that many interviews anymore. You know, I do a couple here and there, but so that doesn't really change. That would make sense. Like for him, though, you know, I can get that. He's not like a media darling, and I don't mean that in like a negative way. You just don't see a lot of him in the media, so. Him being able to come into a big card like this and a big opportunity and, you know, a lot of eyes on our fight without having to worry about the bullshit, I get that.
And then unrelated to this fight, but I feel like I should ask you this. Cub Swanson was in here earlier, and he was saying that he's just noticing fans don't really do their research on the original fighters that kind of paved the way, and he kind of brought up all the WEC guys and everything. I'm curious, do you see that too, like all of these fans that, like specifically we talked about how people view Jose Aldo as the guy that lost to Conor, and they don't really bring up the WEC Jose Aldo. They don't know that. So do you get, like, what do you say to those fans that, you know, they don't know that you fought in Strikeforce, they don't remember you as a middleweight and everything?
Yeah, you know, just in general, I think as our fan base is getting younger, they just weren't around for those days. And I mean, to be honest, I think a lot of younger fans probably don't go back and, you know, watch the 91 Bears, or like they just don't go back and do their research. But I would urge them like to go back and get on UFC Fight Pass and go watch like the WC days and the Pride fights and Strikeforce. There's a lot of good fights in there. I just think it would be fun to go back and see all that stuff. And I get it from Cub because, you know, like I've seen Cub kind of recently getting some dust ups online, kind of along those lines of just not being respected. And you know, my generation of fighter put Cub's generation on a pedestal. If Cub Swanson and the people that came with him never were around, that people like me wouldn't be here. And that just keeps on rolling, you know? Like if I'm not here, then the people that came after me wouldn't be here either. So I get Cub's frustration with that though, because I do feel it myself.
Anthony Sayre, just going off that real quick, Shogun going in the Hall of Fame this week.
Wild.
Of course, you're an opponent of him. Just, I guess, reflect on what you feel he meant to the sport, what it meant to you to get the chance to fight him while he was still fairly on top of the game.
Yeah, Shogun, I mean, legend isn't even a good enough word for, or like it's not a good enough word to describe Shogun. In terms of, you know, my history with Shogun, I wish there was a way that I could repay him for what he did for me. He gave me an opportunity when he didn't have to. You know, they were talking about him going into a title fight following, you know, a win. That's all he needed was a win. He took a big risk, and I think that says a lot about his character and just who he is. And that opportunity skyrocketed me. It was my first main event. It was on short notice, and a lot of really good things happened for me and my family, and my earning ability and where I am as a fighter today started with Shogun and that chance that he gave me. So I've seen him a couple times since then, and to be honest with you guys, I've always been too nervous to go up and talk to him. I still feel like that about Shogun. Like I still get starstruck. So Shogun Hua means a lot to me.
Anthony, over here. I know probably because of the short notice you didn't get to train out in Colorado at Factory X. Will Mark Montoya be in your corner?
I was in Denver.
Oh, you were? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, I was there. Yeah, and he'll be here.
Okay,
for sure.
Great. And something I know you've done in the past, usually like, you know, going out in the RV with the kids and stuff during the summer. I'm guessing that's kind of on hold right now as you see what happens with this fight.
Yeah, you guys dragged me from the pool. I was spending a lot of time by the pool. But yeah, I mean, this is like best case scenario for me. I was training. Jamal was in Omaha, which made it really easy for me. I was in shape. I was doing my thing, like kind of free and open because I didn't have like a target. I was just training hard. And then this pops up, and so I just got to like pull myself out of the pool for a couple weeks and then come here, fight, and you guys catch me at the pool on Sunday. So this is like best case scenario for me.
And just last one for me, you mentioned training with Jamal Hill. You two were supposed to fight. Now you've kind of developed a bit of a friendship. He came out and trained with you. Can you just expand a bit on that and how you guys went from possible opponents to now being training together?
Yeah. So when Jamal first came into the UFC, I worked that card, and the fight goes the way it goes, and I talked to him afterwards and gave him some advice. He's really green in the sport, and but I seen his potential and his willingness to learn and his openness, and kind of going back to the respect thing, like he had a lot of respect for the guys that came before him. Like if I have something to say, Jamal gives me the respect to at least hear me out. So that's kind of how it started. Then we got matched up, and neither one of us really liked it that much, but it was kind of this is our job, it's what we have to do. And then we weren't, then he goes and fights Glover, and then I go to Grand Rapids and help him get ready for that fight, and then he wins the title. And so it's weird, our career paths are kind of weird. It was supposed to be me versus Jamal, then after that was me versus Khalil, then it was supposed to be Jamal versus Khalil, and then it's Jamal versus Olberg, then me versus Olberg. The whole thing's really, really weird. We're in this weird, MMA is crazy. But yeah, it's the whole thing's weird, and it just, it is what it is. I'm sure at some point we're going to have to sit down and have that tough conversation where both of us get a call that we don't want, but again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.